Hi, Maz.
Hi, Sabina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Ready for another conversation about everything that has to do with AI and marketing.
Awesome, awesome. Well, welcome everyone to our latest episode of Who Moved My Marketing. And the last episode that we had, we've talked about how AI is actually changing the marketing organization as a whole, and how some of the bigger enterprises are even kind of restructuring or even trying to move their marketing departments, you know, kind of just to AI and having more of the AI agents take over some of the day to day and maybe even the strategic type of decisions within marketing. But we wanted to continue the conversation and talk about how AI is actually enhancing, not taking over so much, but enhancing the marketing organization and the apps that we kind of use today or that are out there today that will really help in creating a more robust marketing strategy for you. Now, just a disclaimer for everyone, Maz and I are not here to endorse anybody. These are all based on our personal experiences of our, trying these out, really kind of experimenting with new technology and existing technology. So anything that you hear today is just very much based on our personal experience. So, with that said, um, we're looking at traditional type of strategies like SEO and understanding how can AI actually help with that, because a lot of the algorithms now and everything that you're seeing out there is changing, and it's changing so rapidly that we need to kind of get ourselves educated on what is the latest and greatest way for people to find our businesses and to be able to find our websites and our content since SEO is changing. And I know, Maz, you've had a little bit of experience and conversations on this. So I wanted to start out with something like that because it's part of a marketing strategy. It's not something that we can kind of ignore at this point. So, can you talk about kind of what you've been seeing and what you've been talking about with some of our peers?
Yeah, that's a great segue, really about some of the more basic marketing fundamentals that are changing because of AI. And when I talk to CMOs or if I'm attending a particular community of people that are in the business, the idea of the zero-click search and the fact that so many of our budget or the technology or even the expertise used to go into SEO and the work that used to be done to be able to rank high in search engine result pages is now starting to change and shift to what's called answer engine optimization, which is for AI results that are coming through LLMs and through ChatGPT and the likes. So yes, there are some major differences. Like I said, there's been a lot more focus on that, and recently I attended a webinar with Ethan Smith, who is the co-founder of Reforge, and there was some really interesting data that was shared, and I thought I'd just pass some of that along. If you look at the data in terms of the amount of content that's been created since 2022, we see that. Initially, it was 100% human generated content on websites, and as part of the search results, that's basically the only answer you would get. And now we're seeing that AI has been creeping up, and eventually in 2025, it passed the amount of human generated content on the web. And so, if you look at the results of a search,
Mhm.
you would assume that the a lot of the results or the answers are now being generated by AI, but that's not actually the case. The algorithms and the AI's own ranking has been adapted so that it still ranks higher for human answers than it does for AI generated answers. And this is a pretty important finding, I think, because it still puts a lot of value in human generated content, which we used to think that it's completely going away. And we're seeing that, yes, AI is going to augment your answers, going to allow you to come up with better answers, but it's still looking for human generated content to rank them. And how do you actually rank higher using AI engines? The way that AI is looking for better answers is by looking at content that answers questions that the user is asking about. So the way you should think about being ranked high in AI responses is to think about what kind of use cases do my products have, and think about maybe generating a landing page for each of those use cases, and that automatically becomes a source for AI. And this is really what we want to do. We want to rank high in terms of a source because that's what AI cares about. That's one of the areas. I think another part of this is the fact that the long tail, when you look at the search, really most of the search is really based on keywords. That's what search engine is about. Whereas we're just talked about AI is really about answers. And if you look at the long tail, that means that a lot of people are going to follow their first question with another question, or maybe
Mhm.
multiple questions. And this is really the way you should think about the answers you provide, is to give answers not only to the first question, but to multiple questions. So an FAQ strategy is a really good one. Make sure you have a very deep FAQ on your website. And then the other part of this was the fact that not only owned content but earned content is ranking really high in AI answers. So that means having YouTube videos, having affiliated videos or content, and anything that, or even Reddit would be great places to be able to rank higher. You could look at the some of the answers that are out there in terms of how to do that. So I'm not going to go into details, but these are some of the differences between how you would rank high in an AEO versus how you would rank high in an SEO, which I think most people should really think seriously about, as we see that more and more ranking is shifting over to AI as zero click becomes more and more prominent.
That's really interesting because, I only heard about AEO from you just the other day, and it actually makes sense because if you're thinking about it, we are going to have to start thinking about it from an answer perspective. And I mean, in a way, we are thinking about kind of what are the challenges that our customers are having and how does our solution differentiate from our competitors. And this is going to be another way for us to differentiate ourselves, is by really asking what are the real questions that our customers are going to be asking, and then how do we answer those on our website. And that's how it's going to get us ranked up in these answer optimized, engines versus
Absolutely.
otherwise. Now, with that, you've got a lot of existing applications, right? That I feel have already tried to incorporate AI into them. So, kind of like a LinkedIn or a Marketo, or, you know, even Google itself. If you look at them now, if you do a search on Google, you'll see at the very top, you don't see sponsored, you know, results anymore. You see first an AI overview result, and then you will see a lot of the sponsored below that. So,
Yeah.
what are you thinking about, from an understanding of how to use AI in some of these existing applications and or new applications that have come out? You know, what are your experiences on some of those? And kind of then I can give you a little bit of a take on some of the ones that I've used. But,
Yeah.
what have you used? Because I know even with Riverside, which is what we're doing our podcast on, we moved from Zoom to actually using Riverside because of some of the AI capabilities of Riverside versus what we were having to do with Zoom, then putting it on YouTube, and then, creating things like that. So I'd love to get your take on some of the applications that you've been using.
Yeah, I think the broader question really is about would you build a marketing tech stack that is AI enabled from the top to the bottom, and which one of your existing tools are basically upgraded or updated with the capabilities that you're looking for. And I think those are the kind of things that you have some experience with that you're going to talk about. I also think about all of that as well, but I also focus on maybe some new tools. These are sort of point solutions that are out there because they really focus on doing the things that we used to sort of combine into other tools. And now we're seeing that AI has been able to pull out certain capabilities and do that one thing better. For instance, video generation, um, creating AI videos of you're basically just mocking up a person's video, and so you don't actually have to be on camera, but your twin, your AI twin, is going to replace you. And so those are some solutions that are out there, and they do a very good job. But in general, if you think about the overall tech stack and how you would want to address the changes that are happening as the organizations go through this shift, is to think about data as the foundation of everything that you want to do. So some companies are better at this. They've already sort of had a data strategy, and they've been building, whether it's an enterprise data warehouse or a CDP, customer data platform. Either one of those are great solutions and kind of prepare you for building that data enriched capability that you need in order to be able to really analyze the customer behavior, to be able to figure out the intent, and be able to, for instance, create campaigns that really target the problem areas for those particular audience targets that you're going after. So I think about everything really starts for me at a data level. And so if you're looking at a low cost CDP, for instance, Klaviyo for e-commerce is a great example. I've used Segment that analyzes both product and customer data. So you can actually look at usage models, usage data, and how to convert customers, or if the customers are stuck at a point in your onboarding process, you can help them with that, get them untangled. Telium is another platform that I've used that's much more enterprise friendly because they can integrate with lots of different solutions out there. But again, these are data platforms that I think would be great solutions to just kind of get started. And then once you start to kind of build your campaign based on, okay, well, I kind of know, my target audience, I have my ICP. Now I just want to see which one of the accounts that I'm targeting are in market. So you have to do some intent analysis. So in the past, we used to use things like Bombora and Zoom Info. Now we're seeing that Clay and Apollo have come up with some really good solutions as well. And I know you are an Apollo user, so I want to make sure that you give us a little bit of an idea there. But those are some examples that just came to my mind. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so like I had mentioned, it's kind of easier to play around with AI capabilities within your existing platforms because one thing that I've always had to justify is budget and cost and how do I justify taking this up to the top and say, okay, I need these five new, you know, applications because these are AI enabled or these are AI specific and they're going to make my life easier. I still have to justify it. But if I'm able to kind of use what I already have or what I'm already using, which a lot of these applications have added AI capabilities to them, I think that's one thing. Now, if everybody remembers what the MarTech landscape looks like, and if you remember that chart, and I'm sure all of us have seen it, and it's every year it gets more and more literally filled with brand new technologies, existing technologies. I can't even imagine what that's going to look like now once we add all of these AI apps into
I
them. I
think
don't,
we're over 15,000 already in the
I
MarTech
think,
landscape. Hmm.
yes, I know. I was thinking about that and I'm like, I can hardly read it now. I don't think you're going to really need a magnifying glass to read
Yeah.
all the logos that are on that thing. But I think some of the ones that I would say, you mentioned Apollo. I think Apollo's great from, building lists and understanding kind of who your targets are and really trying to figure out sequences and really kind of from a business development perspective before you can actually warm up your leads quite a bit from Apollo. And that was one. The other one I would say that I've really enjoyed with and kind of like, again, it's more on the BDR side, is Boardy.ai, Boardy. And you literally have a phone conversation with an AI agent. It asks you questions, you answer them, and then it goes and does a lot of the outreach for you. And it will actually come back with, hey, I have this person who's in your ICP at this company. Would you like for me to make an introduction? And so it really takes out all of that kind of research aspect of your job that you that takes a lot of time and makes it more efficient for somebody else or an agent to go do that because it's going through data, it's sifting through titles, it's sifting through all of kind of the data points that you've given it to go and find some of these targets for you. So those are two that I've used that that I really enjoyed that are something new. That is something completely that I have never had a chance to work with in my, traditional workflows that we've had in the past. Believe it or not, Maz, we're at 17 minutes, and I know that we've been wanting to keep these podcasts at a very, short and,
Yep.
digestible type of timelines. So again, I'm going to say to be continued
Yeah.
for AI because I think this is a big, meaty topic. And so we talked about the marketing organization and how that's changing. We're talking about how the tech stack is going to kind of enhance and make your jobs and your workflows more effective and efficient. And I would say we're going to continue on the conversation. So look for our next podcast of who moved my marketing, and we will continue this conversation at that time.
That sounds great. Yeah, this was another good session, and you're right. This whole topic is huge, and before you know what's happening, another layer of new solutions have been out there. So, but we'll just keep knocking on the door, and we'll keep at it, and hopefully, we'll make some headway.
Sounds good. Talk to you next time. Bye, Maz.
Sounds good. Bye, Sabina.